let you know.
Yeah, wait, I gotta officially call it to order on the. Hey, hi Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go, this is Jen Dowerpa. We'll go ahead and call to order the Parks and Rec Board for April 30th, 2025, 6 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that. Do we have any public comment on any items not included on today's agenda? If you two ladies would like an agenda, we have some extra copies.
Sorry, there's
I want to welcome Wendy and Carol tonight, Wendy Gravely and Carol Hatfield. Let's go ahead and approve the minutes since it's on here from February 5th.
I move to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Okay, approved and seconded. And those, there are three of us, so it passed. Minutes approved. Okay, review and recommendation to the commissioners of letters of interest for the board vacancies. And we have Mrs. Wendy Gravely.
Yes.
Do we have any questions for Wendy?
No?
I have no questions.
Oh, I would want to thank both of you ladies also for your interest as well as your letters of intent. Okay, and we don't have any questions for Wendy?
No.
No.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to recommend Wendy to the county commissioners as a new member of the Parks and Rec Board.
I will make a motion to recommend to the commissioners for Wendy to be a new board member for the Parks and Rec Board.
I second.
Okay. All right. Motion made and seconded, and those in favor, aye, with three of us.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you for that. And now Carol Hatfield.
I'll make a motion to the commissioners for Carol Hatfield to be a new board member for the Parks and Rec Board.
I second.
Motion made, seconded, in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Well, ladies, we will go ahead and forward our recommendation, make it known in the minutes as well, that to the commissioners, that we endorse the two of you to become new board members. Okay? All right.
You guys are pretty suspect. Yeah.
Would either of you like to make a statement today for the record at all? You're welcome to. Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, defining the role of the Parks and Rec Board and networking with other county entities. We talked about putting this one on here because we're trying to figure out exactly what our place is. And I know that we're advisory, and I know that Lindsay and I had talked about this as well, that what we really want to do, what is it that we feel that this board should be really doing?
I think kind of what we're doing now is getting the public input on projects. I mean, we've really pushed hard this last go around with this deal. I think that would be one of our main goals, is to get public input and do what the public wants. I mean, other than that, we don't have any money. You know, we don't bring in money, and we don't approve that stuff. So I would think that our advisory for what the public wants. wants to do with their stuff.
To be a liaison between us and the commissioners for the public.
Yeah. Kind of where we're at. I mean, without a bankroll, it's hard to, say, well, we can do this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then same as, if the commissioners have an idea, reach out to us and we can push it out to the community and try to get community involvement and see what the community wants. So.
Okay. Do we want to develop a plan for a funding mechanism for the board? Do you think we need to go down that road? Or potentially start working on a plan for a Parks and Rec employee, whether part-time or full-time, down the road?
If I may, Madam Chair,
Yes.
that'll be hard. Like the employee stuff would be difficult. And we just had this discussion today. I think we've all talked. I think I've talked with all of you individually, even at some time in the future, to really make things right. A Parks and Rec department at some level. I don't know what it would look like. I have no idea. But we know that as it is right now, the people who are maintaining our current stuff, they're kind of at max. So if we grow, if we develop more, all that's going to have to be considered. I don't think we're at the point where we can have an employee right now, even though I know that it would be nice if we had even a part-time person that could do that could do parks maintenance and different things, and then help look for grants, and it'd just be a very unique position. But I think for the immediate future, it's better for obviously a board to have a role and a purpose, and I think we have obviously great, very involved people on this board. So looking at, we have this master plan in front of us, and I say us, since I'm your liaison, I'm going to use us.
Right.
But we have this master plan that's getting done. Where do we go from there? What becomes the role? I don't know, maybe it's working with the groups that you talk to, the special interest groups, on, hey, maybe it's looking for grants. Maybe everybody takes some time to look for different grants that might be a possibility to help get stuff done. So I'm not really sure what it is, but I'd love to hear more ideas. I'm sure the other commissioners would love to hear ideas. As things are right now as an advisory board, what can be done?
Right, okay. If we don't start planning now, we aren't going to get there. And what I'd like to see is a conceptual plan. Just between the board getting together and just discussing what are some of the avenues for funding of a future employee, what would that look like for the roles of that individual, what potential grants are open to funding an eligible person, kind of like what Mia Townsend used to do when she would go after the grants, and those grants, 10% were also being able to be targeted for a part-time employee, whether they're employee or support. That's if we work down that avenue now and start thinking about that concept and getting it on paper, it'll make it easier for the future board. And then when we get to that point where we start need that liaison. Okay, so for the personnel piece, that was what I was looking and thinking about. And the other part of it is, we get this master plan done. We need to go out and liaison with those groups to say, hey, here's the master plan approved by the commissioners of this county. Use it in your grant applications when you are looking for those grants, because the first thing they ask you for is, does your governing body approve, and where's the master plan? And that is very powerful, as Stacy mentioned, very powerful for getting those grants and helping to develop what's in that master plan. Now, does that mean that master plan is rigid and we can't alter it? No, it's a living document, as we know. But now we will have two. We have the recreation survey, and we have this master plan that now backs that up with real projects. I mean, the recreation survey had 25 different projects, of which we at least have the one done, the skate park. But these two documents together will be very powerful for going after grants. And what I see our role on this board is to liaison with those trails groups, with the tennis group, with the baseball group, say, hey, take this master plan and go forth and start searching for, if they have the time, start searching for those grants, or if they hear about those grants. That's kind of what I was envisioning, two specific roles for this board in that capacity. Those are my thoughts.
If I may, Madam Chair, I can look into what types of funding or avenues for funding that might be possible, like allowable, maybe I should use allowable, because everything, you never know with.
Kind of like what we talked before on allowables, like we have the golf course and the gun range. The other property on Centerville, it was the defunct softball team, but now the city is paying, or the county is paying for the defunct. Can we go to the golf course and the gun club and part of their new lease? Do they give us a portion of money? Right now, I know that lease is pretty cheap. Is that something they can, depending on how many people they have there, they kick over whatever percentage we come with down the road, if it's legal funding? That's to get through the county attorney.
Yeah, so I can look into that and see what would be legal and allowable, absolutely. I think the other idea is you're suggesting, like how the board could work with, as a liaison, with the community and with the different groups, possibly depending on what happens, and I don't know, I'm not saying anything's going to happen for anyone listening, maybe work with Rod and Gun.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they could use some help figuring out what they, with what their solutions are, come the time their lease is up, which is what, 4 more years?
4 more years.
So, I think there's a lot of different, that liaison role, I think is very appropriate, but I think you guys could really define that.
But without seeing if there's any funding,
Yeah.
because we have so many people come up asking for funding for grants from the role, we run out of funding pretty quick. So if we're allowed to have a funding stream, it would be nice, but not right out of the taxpayer's pocket. Hopefully,
Are you saying, if I may, Madam Chair? Sorry.
Yes, that's okay.
Are you saying the funding would be like people would come to the board for grants, or would they? I guess, or would the funding be to just help with different projects, smaller things that needed done? I guess what would be or hey, we can help with maintenance, or we can do just different things. I guess that's what I'm curious. What would be the purpose?
I would say a little bit of all.
Okay.
You guys agree with that, or is it?
Mm-hmm.
You mean if we had a budget,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
smaller, even match grants, matches for grants, small match,
Small match, yeah.
where
Right.
they can then roll it over to the next match, Stacy's pretty good about that as well, but, yeah. I can see that, but I was looking at more of, we're pushing the documents out to help them go forth and look for their funding in their,
That's kind of
in
more
their
what I
line,
was
in
envisioning.
their lane, and go after the philanthropic individuals who ask for that, the foundations, the Walmarts of the world, the Home Depot grants, those kinds of things that require master plan, and I think it gives them a powerful tool to do
Correct.
that.
My thing would be only for down the road, if there's not enough people getting grants, and then we get ball fields, we get the dog park, all those, and now they start going defunct, and there's no money for maintenance. Now, how do we get them? Is there a way for us to help support any maintenance on that side without going outright for it? So, or reaching to the county for more tax dollars?
Yeah, I mean, I think to the board, depending on what level, what level you all want to be involved, because obviously everybody's volunteering. So if there's someone on the board that's like, I can write grants and I can work with this, I don't know, let's say the pickleball group, right? And I'm going to help them. We're going to look for some grants. In my role as a Parks and Rec person, right? We're going to work on. We have the master plan. We know what needs worked on. You could work with that group and finding that. You could look at bigger grants, which
Correct.
is where like in my role, I see, you know, stuff comes through for Chamber of Commerce and different things that could qualify. I could say, hey guys, we've got a grant, but I can't write it. Like, I'm going to need help, right? Or the county will need help on this. And, you know, if there's someone on the board that's good at grant writing, sorry, if you're approved. But that could help, you know, different, I think there's different, it's just the discussion right now of figuring out where we kind of
Where we wanna go.
Yeah, and what that looks like, and I can look into the legalities of all the other stuff, but.
Well, and I know that you know, previous board member as well, joined to do projects. I mean, joined to see, that's what I joined, to see these projects come to fruition and help make that happen. And have that 20-year vision, the vision of having trails, safe routes to school, parks, you know, simplicity as well, because obviously the maintenance is going to be, we need to be cognizant of the maintenance down the road. It's all beautiful and fine until you have to spend $90,000 for a new playground at Heritage Park, which was quite a project, and having to go out every 10 years to ask for more money to help put in new equipment again. Not to say that the one at McCarthy Park is 1957, that's well overdue, but that's good. I mean, it's great that we have folks that can do that. But it's becoming that, you know, helping with that liaisoning and avenues of, you know, hey, did you look at these grants? Did you look at these grants? Oh, by the way, we get a package at the county that says, hey, these grants are open from MSU or whatever, pushing those out to those entities that has in their lane to do that.
One thing I just thought of is we just approved that, the trust board, and then we approved the trust board grant that's going to Big Sky Big Leadership Group that's going to do the tennis courts. They're going to work on the tennis courts, and that would be something like Parks and Rec you could physically be involved. Hey, we're going to help out with this project. You know, in what capacity could we team up with Big Sky Big Leadership? Just little things like that. And
the volunteerism,
volunteer stuff, just help them with. They might need some additional help. You know, and maybe it's physical, maybe it's writing something. I have no idea, but I'm just.
Well, it's similar to what we did with Heritage Park. We put the new playground in. We put a call out to the community, and over 50 people showed up that morning and helped us put the playground together, repainted all the picnic tables, repainted the whole darn pavilion as high as we could reach. And it went very well, and it was very very well received, and it really helped our community look good for Fall Fest. And I think people had fun doing it too. Yeah. And I think there is a good workforce out there for those kinds of one-day, one-part projects. I mean, Rotary has proved that with the school, with the nursing home. Hey, we just put the call out and say, hey, we're going to plant flowers and put up a water system around the hospital for the plants and that. So. And
you guys could facilitate the more coordination of that too on your end with the county, putting it on the county website, different things like that. So, you know, you can be that liaison between those groups, the public. And I liked Dirk's suggestion of, you know, we're getting feedback from the public on different things. It's good.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
You know, this is like really hard for me to. Hi, Carol Hatfield. Do I need to spell my name? Sure. Hatfield. Hatfield. So one of the things I was thinking, just in my mind, is the future of this board. And so you all have been discussing a master plan, which is being developed for the properties, from what I understand, for the properties up north. So one of the things I was thinking, it might be good to be able to have a strategic plan for the board that would involve the city, because you all are talking about both city and county facilities, infrastructure, whatever. And what does that look like? Because I know everyone here has there's term limits unless you want to be on here forever. I think you need to leave something for the next group of people coming in. And that, to me, would be a strategic plan on how this board is going to run in the future with the city. And I think a city person needs to be sitting here and being involved in all of this, because great ideas. I totally agree with everything that you are saying, but not everyone knows how to write a grant. You have to manage those grants afterwards. And I do that right now with the state, and they can be cumbersome. And so I think just some things to think about in your strategic plan on different categories: grants, maintenance of properties and infrastructure, future of parks and recreation in the county. We know that the county is growing, and so what does the future look like? What happens when you fulfill and are successful with the master plan? Then what? What are the next steps? So just some ideas to think about to kind of lead the path into the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, Carol.
Another idea on the Parks and Rec board I was thinking of, and speaks to the community, and it would have to be a change to our bylaws, but getting with the school and seeing if there's some type of a school group, like a union, United Nations group or government group, where we can get some of the seniors or any of the any of the high schoolers in here on a non-voting role to come in and have their input a little bit into their community, because they're the ones that are coming through. They're the ones seeing everything. Getting a little more involved with the younger group. But
So
This is-
student council liaison.
guys, good student
Potentially.
council liaison, something to that effect.
Well, and we know that the National Honor Society requires them to do community service. Maybe we could offer that. Hey, here's a student liaison, youth liaison to this county rec board that they could use for their community service,
Yeah.
potentially.
It's a good idea.
Great suggestion, thank you. The strategic plan in coordination with the city, it's a thought. It's definitely a good suggestion. I know that we had looked at rewriting our bylaws to include the city as well. We do have a city liaison that is assigned to the board in a non-voting role. That is Doug Sitton. He just hasn't been here for a while, so we'll have to talk with him and see if we can encourage him to come back. Okay. Do we have any other comments on this one?
I don't think so.
No.
I think we had some good discussion. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, final acceptance of the bylaws. And this kind of somewhat sets forth the roles.
And I think when we reviewed these before the electronic copy, we only had one small edit, didn't we?
Correct.
Right. And and that was just to take out the name
Right.
in a couple of different places. But I mean, we have right there, section 4, the purposes for which this board is organized. And, you know, in light of our discussion on the role of the Parks and Rec Board, kind of maybe take a look at that, but I think we've got it covered here. Enhancement, expansions of rec programs in the county.
And Madam Chair, you can
Yes.
go back, I mean, you can put this on an agenda if the board should decide to change something or want to revise bylaws, you can do that anytime, you just have to put it
Correct.
on the agenda, that's fine.
comment on it?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we kind of got it covered in here already, the short and long-term goals of the board. I mean, we could change that around to insert in there strategic plan, maintain the current strategic plan, whatever that is when we have it then. But yeah, I would make a motion to go ahead and accept the minutes as they're written.
I'll second that.
Bylaws?
I'm sorry,
Well,
yes.
That's okay.
Yes, the bylaws.
Okay,
And then I'll second that one.
having first and second. Is that by affirmation, it's automatically approved? We have any future, I mean, the two of them, and it's already a majority, and,
You still need to go through the motions.
Okay.
of
well,
voting,
having
sorry.
first and second, do we have any other further discussion before okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, so. Okay, motion approved. The final acceptance of the bylaws is written, and we can always go back and readdress it next year's January meeting.
Mhm.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Madam
right.
Chair,
Yes.
may I add to that? So I will place this on the commissioner's agenda for May 14th for commissioner's decision and signature. Because the role of this board is simply to advise the commissioners. So as you can see on the back page, page 8 of the document, the commissioners will need to sign. So, May 14th.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. All right, let's talk about the concept design survey results and the next steps for the master plan process. I don't have those survey results. I know we looked at them.
I don't have those up. I just got the master plan working draft up where it's requesting our comments.
Oh, no, Kevin's asking. I'm sorry. Kevin England from Great West just said, do we have a Zoom link? I didn't think they were attending.
Oh.
They hadn't said anything about attending. I apologize. Go ahead. Did not mean to interrupt you.
Do we need to,
I will
okay.
text him. Figure it out. Sorry.
Okay, so you have the one from April 7th?
Mine's, well, it says April 2025. Let me see here.
The Parks Master Plan Working Draft?
Yep. April 2nd, yes. He's got at the top, highlighted areas require more feedback from the Parks Board.
Okay.
There's not that many.
Okay, the preparations plan was funded by the Montana Department of Commerce's Montana Tourism Grant and Big Timber Alliance. No, that was, so the preparation of this plan was funded by the Broadwater County Trust Board.
That is correct.
correct.
So we could forward that on to him for that one. That was the first one, and that was under the
It was on page,
page
right
1.
before the table of contents.
You have that one, Daleen, do you? Okay, so the comment is the plan was prepared for the county by Great West Engineering.
I don't think she
The
has.
preparation, it was funded by Broadwater County Trust Board. So we'll just put that for the first comments on his. It is funded by the Broadwater County Trust Board. You don't have this document then? Okay. I wasn't sure if you could pull that one up on your, okay. I'll make notes for you then.
I can update it on this
Okay,
copy.
if you want to update that and then just send it to
Put
her.
it in front of you, I can
Maybe
see over
put
your
it in
shoulder.
red.
That way you can type easier.
Okay.
Put it in red ink.
Funded by the Broadwater County Trust Fund, right?
Mhm.
Oops.
Second highlight, Canton Lane priorities. Overall priority ranking, estimated fiscal year project name, project cost. Schedule of improvements must be reviewed and adjusted on an annual basis to account for changing funding availability and public and maintenance needs. And I guess he wanted us to fill that in on the priorities for each of those two?
Oh,
Spreadsheet.
that's that spreadsheet.
That spreadsheet for
Yeah.
both of those.
Yeah, priorities. Yeah.
We're a little far out for that,
Yeah.
aren't we?
The schedule of improvements must be reviewed. Yeah, we
We don't have estimated costs, potential funding sources yet.
highlights the unique physical features of each project, property, crucial factor in determining facilities appropriate for each. In addition, the plan prioritizes projects based on the community's recreational needs in the tables below. But even when we did the rec board survey and we listed the projects, we didn't list them in any particular priority because we knew that they'd be done as funding came in.
Yeah.
And that's when the skate park was donated. So even though it was down at the bottom of that whole list, we approved to do that skate park. And we went ahead and accepted the money. I mean, it was 100% pretty much paid for. I don't know if we really want to do a priority list for the projects or just leave that these are the projects
Yeah, I don't,
that were identified by the community.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think it's too early to try to do that, I think.
Yeah.
Well, and it's whether we really need to do it. Do we
Right.
need to prioritize it? Because that's
Funding's
basically
gonna
putting one group
prioritize
in
it.
front of the other.
Fundings, grants, whatever we get to come
Yeah,
in. so.
then you can prioritize and say, well, we got this X amount of dollars, we can do this part,
Mhm.
but until then, we can't.
But that may be up to the special interest group who gets that grant and gets that
Yeah,
money.
Exactly.
I mean, they may be at the bottom if we do a priority list, but this is a special interest for a special group and they want to go after priority number 7,
Mhm.
you know, by all means, I
think
would,
we TBA, or TBD, yeah.
TBD, to be determined, yeah.
On both of those.
Okay, so that's the second and third highlight,
Correct.
was that chart.
And the next one, I think, is way down there. Whoops. Why I got TB.
Right. It's kind of hard to figure this.
It's hard to do
long.
on your phone, and
Yeah.
It's very long.
that's why the
Paying
old
by
man
the
brings
page?
the idiot box with him, so I can see.
You're the smart one over
Do
there.
a search for highlighting and they can't even do that.
It's down quite a few pages.
Yeah, over halfway.
Are you guys looking at the master plan? What are you guys looking at?
It's the Parks Master Plan Working Draft,
Is that
April 2025.
We don't have any copies printed out here right now.
But it's not online.
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think this was just to us as they.
It was an email. The concept, so this one was in chapter, this was concept number 2, and it was
Yeah.
discussion of the Centerville Road concept number 2. And it talks about the comments are concerns, but it should be the comments and concerns were fairly similar to those listed in concept 1.
Yeah, she's on the same one.
Okay.
After the public was able to voice their opinions and the data was analyzed by the Parks and Rec Board, it was decided for planning purposes, concept number 3 for Canton Lane and concept number 2 for the Centerville property. And I just lost it.
So it probably would be the most desired park designs the county should explore.
That's Kevin England
Does the Park and Rec Board agree with this?
with Kuba.
So do we agree with the,
Just pick it up, or?
Does the Parks and Rec Board agree with that?
I think.
All right, Lindsay, I think it's working.
Now it's working. Okay. Lindsay, it's working.
Okay, perfect.
Can you hear us on the phone?
I can. Can you guys hear me? So I'm actually watching over on YouTube right now as well.
Okay, yeah, we can hear you.
So much technology.
Oh, the camera's up
I just
there.
got about a 5-second delay.
it'd be like one of those old kung fu movies.
You can see it first.
So do we want to go ahead and start back at the beginning then? So they can hear everything we're talking about?
I've been following along, so I kind of heard, like, right before Lindsay called, you guys were kind of discussing the priority table that we've thrown in there. And wish I could talk right at the time that you guys were going through it, but we just kind of threw that in there as like as a kind of a what if or something for you guys to think about. But if you guys don't find that pertinent, if we're too far down the line, we could definitely cut out the priority table.
I think it'd be our best bet.
I think that's a unanimous decision to cut that out.
Perfect. All right. Can get that done. And I've also been taking notes as well while you guys have been talking. So.
Okay, so right at,
Keep on. Yep, keep on going.
okay, so right at the very beginning, it was funded by the Broadwater County Trust Board, or Trust Foundation.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Got that. And we weren't entirely sure on that, so we just wanted to make sure that we had the right one.
Okay, now we're on the one that after the public was able to voice their opinions and the data was analyzed by Parks and Rec Board, it was decided that for planning purposes, concept number 3 for Canton Lane and concept number 2 for the Centerville property would be the most desired park designs the county should explore. My concern is that we don't tie our hands. We've heard the public on this. We didn't have all the elements in those 2 plans that I think we could have had. We didn't have the meditation park. We did have the dog park added at a later date. But I think this wording gives us enough wiggle room to do some adjustments on additional parts of those plans. Does that make sense?
It does, especially with
The gun club.
the gun club with it on concept 2 for Centerville. That one completely gets rid of the skeet range. But if that's what the public voted for, but now we have to wait 4 years to see, do they renew their lease or not?
Of concept 3 for the Canton Lane.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's Canton Lane.
That's Canton.
Excuse me, I misspoke.
That's okay. Yeah, Centerville was a fairly simple one.
Yeah.
The Canton Lane, concept 3
That's the one where they
for
put
Canton.
the golf course over on the.
Yeah, that one right there.
It's not gonna largen that. Okay.
And it'd be hard to commit to that because you do still have 4 years to go on the lease, and a lot can happen in the 4 years. And what if public opinion, you let's say the lease is done, and then, are we gonna revisit with the public saying, is this what you want?
Let's say if we get grant funding or entity gets funding for the baseball fields, we're putting on hold for those 4 years is my only concern.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and what this does is it does preserve, I can't read it, but it does preserve the planning for the expansion of the golf course,
Mm-hmm.
which we also had talked about using those fields as open fields for now and not actually building structures, but having like soccer fields where if the golf course does expand, they just take the soccer fields,
Right.
Correct.
Yes.
and in that way the soccer folks are not interrupting with, or the football playing practice fields, whatever. We do not build permanent structures, but that gives us a little bit of wiggle room even on that until the golf course or golf club gets enough money to do the expansion, that we are still utilizing that 40 acres that are there on that part of on that design.
Yes.
Can we put in there instead of when it talks about concept 3 for Canton Lane, we can put down concept 3, but can we leave it open that depending on granting of the lease for the gun club and or the golf course, it leaves it open, leaves us an out. That way, if things change, we're not locked into just that concept. Or with the master plan like it is, it's always it's a working document, so we're not holding ourselves to it. Correct?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I think we could definitely definitely do that and kind of leave it a little bit more open-ended, because you are right, we can amend it at any time. And so we could definitely add a generalized statement about not issues, that's not a good word, but that there's going to be other items that could alter the design in the future. Something like that. Is that kind of what you guys are thinking of?
That's what I'm kind of thinking of. Is that same with you guys or no?
Yes.
Yeah, see,
Yeah, we could definitely get that added.
right, and they've got some similar to concept one. There would be a future golf course expansion on the east half that could first be utilized as open space with walking trails until the golf course expansion. Walking trails, ball fields, not ball fields, but practice fields.
Practice fields, yeah.
Practice fields. If we could just add that on there, there would be a future golf course expansion could be utilized as open space with walking trails, practice fields, etc., until the golf course expansion occurred.
Yep, we can definitely get that added.
Can I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
So I think,
Start with your name again.
what?
Start with your name.
Carol Hatfield, one more time. So one of the things, I know I'm not on the board, but I just want to caution the board committing to something that can be very expensive. Expansion of a golf course is millions of dollars, millions. And I would be very surprised if that would ever happen in the future. So I think coordinating with the golf board would be my recommendation to see if they even want to go that way.
They have, and they've expressed their desire for us to preserve that space
For future. if they
for
want
future
to.
To preserve it
expansion.
would be fine, but
Yeah.
Right, to preserve that
Tell you
space. That doesn't.
It ain't gonna happen.
You're right. It's upwards almost of $20 million to put another 9 holes in. Right. So that's why I personally, and as chair of the board, I don't want to see us tie up that 40 acres into just empty land. When we have county needs for not just baseball fields,
Yeah.
but county needs for practice fields, soccer fields, trails, places for people to go.
Yep.
And that's why I don't want to just tie that up in a random, golden wish for that. And because we're also asking and hopefully offering to help the Rod and Gun Club explore other options to move the skeet range trap in that. And the public has asked about that. I mean, has indicated that that's their desire as well, according to the survey. I know 128 people oppose this design. But,
The one you're looking at pushing through is the.
yes, Concept 3. Concept 3 for the Canton, which is taking that golf course, preserving that open space of that golf course so that we don't build permanent structures that later have to be removed if the golf club does get the money to expand. And that also is terminating the lease, or not terminating, but not renewing the lease for the Rod and Gun Club trap, which ties up the other acreage that is being used for their safety zone, and putting baseball fields there. And that's basically the concept of that one. It was 247 for that. I have to go all the way back.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. All right. So the next one I have,
I didn't have another one.
okay.
That was all that I saw.
Is that all the one you had on your sheet for us, question-wise?
Yeah, for the stuff that we just needed a little bit more information for. So now if you guys wanted to get into just general review and comments, the rest of the document, that'd be great.
Okay, I have to be truthful. I did not get a chance to completely review it.
Yeah.
Same here. We might have to, I hate to get you back on another time, but might need a little time to review it and maybe print out, that way public has copies of this too that show.
Yeah, that's not a problem. I would say if you guys could compile your comments on the document, like in track changes, you could send them back to us. I could compile them all onto a master document, and we can go through and address all the comments at the next meeting if that works the best.
Yep.
That will.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, great. So at this point, I guess I don't really need to stick around. Is that right?
I have no more questions.
No, I don't have any more questions.
No.
An added thought, because the approval of the new board members will come before the commission, and assuming the commission approves the new board members, you might have additional input, which would be great.
Correct.
You know, to have that as well. So that'll be a plus, and new sets of eyes. So there might be stuff that we just haven't seen that you may want to.
If these two new members, potential new members, would like to preview the master plan and give us some comments, that would be great.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And then
Appreciate
Kevin, we'll
that.
keep you posted on the next meeting. I know we've kind of had some back and forth with just everybody's schedules, so I'm sorry things got kind of lost in the shuffle this past month.
Oh, that's okay. I think maybe next time, if it's all right with you guys, maybe I'll try to come down in person. That's always a little bit easier than doing it via phone or Zoom.
Sure.
Sounds good.
Okay, and our next meeting is right now scheduled for May 19th. May 19th.
That should work for me, I believe. So awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And sorry for the miscommunication with getting off. So I appreciate you bearing with me.
Yeah.
All right, no,
Appreciate
thank
your
you,
time.
appreciate it. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Okay, so update, discussion, decision. So we have the trails meeting. So our two guests tonight, Wendy and Carol, and I went down and met with the trails group and our local Al Christofferson with the trails down at Bridger. It was cold. We weren't going to go outside and walk Copper City at that time. Plus, it was very muddy because I did go up there afterwards. They were very informative. They were very, I believe, supportive of, especially including the Paddler's Trail and trying to link some of the conversations. And Al brought the large master map, and where we were looking at different trails. But I would also like to invite Wendy or Carol to add any perspectives that they had about the meeting.
The census is kind of moving. She's kind of a trail person.
Mhm.
In the Forest Service. Yeah, you are.
Okay. Third time, Carol Hatfield. It was a good meeting. So basically, I kind of got involved with Al Christofferson on the Trails Committee because he had called me and asked me to see if I could search for some grants. That does not mean I'm a good grant writer. But anyways, so I happened to be thinking about Copper City Trails, which is a fantastic trailhead and trail facility. If you have not been down there, you need to go. No motorized, it's all mountain biking and foot. The chair of the Southwest Mountain Bike Association, oh my gosh, I forgot his name, met us. Zach
Yeah.
somebody.
Zach.
And he was very positive, like Jen said. He's actually going to digitize and make a GIS map of the trail plan for the county. So that was very gracious of him. He does GIS work. which will be fantastic to have because that will also facilitate being able to write grants for future trail construction or maintenance or whatever it might be. So he's going to do that. We basically left the meeting, though, just not with any decisions except that, and moving forward with the possibility of them in the future helping the trail committee learn how to raise funding, because that Copper City trail facility was done all by volunteers, and with them raising funds. Of course, it's on BLM land, and BLM, I guess, has told Al no more trail facilities on their land, which is kind of unfortunate, but we'll see what happens. In any case, I think we have an opportunity to work with the Mountain Bike Association in the future. And then I think one of the other things I think would be helpful is to reach out to Prickly Pear
Land Trust
and for the north end. But I thought it was a really good meeting.
Right, and I'll echo the comments, Carol, too. The reason BLM doesn't want a concentrated facility like Copper City, because it brings hundreds of people on the trash, the upkeep, the disrespect, I think, on some of it. They had a hard time with that. They were more open to Al's concept of, hey, let's just have trails going through the county, not an actual concentrated play area. And I think we also working with the Southwest Montana Mountain Bikers Association to also have connectivity to the Bridger facilities being developed. Hey, here's some neat areas. These are popular with the mountain bikers now. Can we maybe do some connectivity so that they don't have to drive their vehicles and then, try to go cross country in some of those areas. So I think it was good. And then for Zach to volunteer for the GIS, that will be very, very informative on the plan that Al is preparing. It's 10 chapters in the plan, and we've been working on this conceptual plan through the BCDC group for quite a while now. It's about 18 months, I think, since that started. And once we get that plan put together, it then will be presented to the county commissioners for approval. But and the list of the priorities. So the most important one on that list right now is the Missouri River Bridge. And again, we talked about MDT and the Toston Bridge and the 3 segments there. Can we relocate them? What can we do to facilitate the crossing and the connectivity between the city, county, Broadwater County in the north, and the Townsend itself, and the Canyon Ferry silos access? And then for the non-trails, also including the water trail from Toston to Townsend as a continuation of the Headwater Paddlers Group Trail project, which is 22 miles already between the headwaters and Toston Dam. And it's a beautiful float for anybody who hasn't done that one. It's absolutely gorgeous. So that I felt it was very positive. And I think we'll have a good relationship with the Mountain Biking Association, and then get more involved with Prickly Pear Land Trust and see where we can help with that. And Zach also was going to do some research on other grant opportunities for us. So,
Madam
good
Chair.
meeting overall. Yes.
I'm so glad you were talking about the Missouri River Bridge, because Sherry Graham, who's a paramedic in our town, she works for the state. There is a large grant out for safety. It's part of EMS. It's not specifically for EMS, but the focus is safety, roads, safety, whatnot. And I think that would be, I need to find it. I will find it, and if there were some people who wanted to try and work on it, and they wanted to send it to Al, and I've got a list of like 5 grants right now. Need to get to,
I think the one you're talking about too was what they used when they put that new interchange in at Custer, because they were complaining, the EMS groups
maybe.
were talking about the fact that the response times were 3 to 5 times longer because they had to go all the way down to Lincoln Road, or they had to get
Oh,
across
yeah.
Cedar, and there
Yeah.
were people in between on Custer, and the response between Cedar and Lincoln on the south end of I-10, I'm sorry, I-15. I'm in the wrong state. I just got out of Arizona,
Gotcha,
so it's
I
I-10
gotcha.
down there. But that was part of, and the Department of Transportation Safety Group was looking at that very heavily because of the cost of that interchange at
Yeah.
Custer.
So this grant, I mean, and that's what I said. I just talked to her the other day and said, my first thought was that bridge and a pedestrian bridge or a bike bridge, because I
Mhm.
know MDT has said, no, it's just cost prohibitive. We're not going to do it. You can't attach one, all the things. So I'm thinking maybe that would be something to look into. That would be helpful. So I will send that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have any other discussion or any other input for concerning that topic of the trails meeting?
I do not.
Okay. So our next meeting, I'm looking at May 19th. Want to make sure I'm here again this time. Okay. Is everybody good with that
I'm
one?
good on that day.
I'm checking. I think I am.
I have Roland Heaton's internment at Montana State Veterans Cemetery in the afternoon, but I'll be back by then.
She's gonna be a movie.
Yeah, it looks like I'm good. The 19th at 6.
And that's trying to get us
Correct.
back to that third Monday of the month
Mm-hmm.
that we usually try to meet on the third Monday, unless the majority of the board members won't be there. That'll be all right. Okay.
Yeah, you can call in. Just
Yep.
the same way Kevin called in, if you're able.
Yeah.
You just listen.
Okay. So, new business. I've totally blanked what it was I was going to talk to you all about. I mentioned it before the meeting. Oh, my God. I can't believe I just did that. I knew I should have written it down. Okay. We talked about the 2 things when we first came in.
The vault toilet.
And that was in Nicole's court, the vault
Mhm.
toilet.
I'm working on that. I'm working on trying to rehome the vault.
Rehome.
Yes,
Yes.
okay. All right.
Rehome without funds from us.
Right, yes, exactly.
And
Rehome the
then
vault toilet.
The Amish.
the
Oh,
Amish.
okay. So I was approached by a representative for Reuben and the Amish community. They are looking to do another community project for either the city or the county. It just has to be a community project. They were looking to do a 1 or 2 day build or refurbish. Last year it was the food pantry. And I drive by that Connors Field and look at that vault toilet that is a mess out there and wondered, is the septics underneath that vault toilet still viable, and can the Amish rebuild the top and we use that vault toilet? And that was one of the questions I wanted to pursue to get the details. That would be a very easy build for them if they're willing to do it.
Madam Chair, may I respond?
Yes.
Well, I am certainly not the subject matter expert on vault toilets. I can find someone who is and work with them to investigate it. I did have a conversation with a previous commissioner who is knowledgeable about those, but I can't recall if the vaults themselves were cracked. You know, they are concrete vaults, so I don't know if
If
they
the
can-
septics underneath are
Right,
good,
yeah,
are
yeah, because
viable.
yeah, that is a vault toilet, which means it's poured concrete vaults. But I can certainly, I'll reach out to someone, a subject matter expert, to get an answer. I'll reach out this week and see if I can get an answer, hopefully before the next meeting.
Okay. And, because the upper part of that is wood. It was
Right.
all wood. And it's already a double septic toilet. And it would be beneficial to at least maybe get those two, if we can, if the septics underneath are still viable, to do that.
When was that shut down? When was that? When was
We'll have to
use
check with.
discontinued on those? Oh my God.
Boy. It's been a long time.
Okay, I was just curious.
Do you think they were pumped out and everything when they shut them down?
Well, and that's the thing, are they septics? Are they septics or are they
Yeah.
vaults? There's a difference between the septics and the vaults. Are they septic tank toilets or are they vaults?
Madam Chair, they are vaults.
They are
We know
vault
that, yeah,
toilets,
they are vault
okay.
toilets. There is no septic permit for them.
Okay,
Yeah, if they weren't pumped, that's liable to be part of the infrastructure by now.
dried,
Yeah.
very fossilized.
Yes.
But anyway, the other avenue is, are there any community projects that could be done that our Amish could help with? And, check with your folks. They asked Rotary, and I'll work with, I'm on the projects committee for Rotary as well. But they're looking, and I just wanted to put that out to the group. They're looking for community projects that they can be participatory in.
Is there any spot that we'd want to put a community shelter? For
Date.
cookouts or gazebo, for gatherings? Any place to build something like that?
Well, they did that. We paid them to build that one at McCarthy Park. Not McCarthy Park, Holloway Park. We paid for that one because it was pretty extensive for the pavilion.
Okay.
But I don't know if that little gazebo next to the Mint is technically a private, but Rotary has helped and 4-H has helped to rebuild that a few times. The other option was at the concession stand. Somebody mentioned to me, hey, how about rebuilding the concession stand or refurbishing the concession stand out at Connors Field? I don't know how that is operating or whether it needs a facelift or not, but that's another option.
I don't know.
So those two would be, maybe talking with the baseball group or whoever runs the concessions when they do have activities out there. And then the other was question, as I was driving along Harrison, was if there's any other infrastructure at McCarthy Park that we need to put up that maybe they could help with, whether a shade structure for the playground or something like that we could propose to them.
I can ask John Bliley that, because we are in the thick of baseball right now.
Right, and I saw that they had
Yes.
repainted out there
Yeah.
and for the baseball, but do they need new dugouts?
Maybe they do
You
a
know,
ton
something like
of,
that.
They do a ton of work,
Mhm.
like volunteer work out there. Like
Mhm.
the whole baseball group has really stepped up Townsend baseball. So I will
Well-
ask and see what they might need.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like I said, the Amish are very, they're not opposed to helping in other areas, but they're also carpenters. And so I would look for, structures that we might need help with on refurbishing.
I got a good list myself.
Community projects,
John's like,
community.
I'll invite you over.
I have a garage that I'm looking at Ruben to build, so, but that'll have to wait till next year. Okay. Do we have any other new business?
No.
All right, we are over our time. I always like to try to end on time. So, having 5 minutes passed, are there any comments from the floor? Okay. You sure you don't want to talk one more time? Get your name on board. We haven't got that spelling down yet, but anyway, thank you. Okay, thank you both for coming tonight. I do appreciate that. All right, I will move to, we need to move to adjourn.
A second.
Okay, Hearing no further comments, no further questions, I call the meeting adjourned at 6:06. 7:06, sorry, 7:06. Arizona time. Thank you all for coming tonight.